Hello, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. This training, we have designed this training for specifically AWS practitioners and how do you get a job in AWS and succeed. So some of the chapters that we will discuss as part of this training is really to understand what are the real practical challenges when implementing the AWS projects. So, for example, we will be so there are 10 chapters, and we are going to go through quickly the introduction. As part of the introduction, I'll discuss things that are typically asked during the interviews. Then we'll talk about a couple of real practical use cases that either some of us has worked on it, or they are actively being in production, right? In chapter 3, we'll discuss the architectural and design principles, which is if you are really going for an architectural or design job. 4 and 5 are going to be very, very critical because that's where you're most likely going to be explaining your project, whether you are involved with the cloud data migration or cloud data application migration, right? So 4, 5, and 6 are critical chapters. In chapter 7 is really your basic AWS knowledge, the various service categories, what are the benefits. At this stage, before taking this training, I'm going to assume that you know AWS pretty much, and you know how to log in through the console. And then chapter 8, we will talk about the DevOps and CI/CD. This is very, very critical. A lot of questions are being asked at how do you create infrastructure as a service and Terraform and CloudFormation. And then chapter 9 is the one that has been very popular nowadays, of a hybrid cloud and why companies choose hybrid cloud, what are the benefits and things like that. And then chapter 10, we will have a real interview. In this interview, you will be submitting your verbal responses to the questions that are being asked. So it almost simulates your real experience or real interviews and how you explain them. So this is our main agenda. With that, let's move on to chapter 1. Quick introduction. My name is Vikram Gupta. I've been in the industry for last 20 years. I started my career as a quantitative programmer, and I did a lot of quantitative programming in the financial services, developing various models. And then I realized that majority of my time was going into really aspects of data sourcing, data engineering, data ingestions, and things like that. And for the last 5 years, I've been exclusively spending my time with AWS product suite. So that's why I've created this training. This training is truly based on some of the real experiences that you will encounter it. So as part of this training, we will discuss that this training is really not a plain vanilla training. You will hear the training from the real project experiences. That will talk about how do you prepare for an AWS interview. What are the typical questions I've asked. I interview AWS folks almost on a daily basis, and I know what questions to ask, but on the other side, I've heard their responses. Some of them are great, some of them are very theoretical. So I wanted to share that information with you guys. And then if there are folks who are transitioning their career to AWS Cloud, there are a lot of people who have been doing, who are in a plain IT sector, and they want to transition into cloud. Then there are people who are in the business side. They want to transition into cloud, because remember, the cloud is becoming a foundational component for all the AI, machine learning, and a lot of AWS migration. And then we'll discuss there are a lot of different types of trainings, and I'll give you one example that from the practical perspective, you don't need the list, you don't need to take all the trainings, as long as you have one or two specific ones, and that should take care of it. So this is going to be our agenda, and we will start with chapter 1. Thanks for listening.